Thank you so much, Aisha. You're doing a beautiful job too here this morning. Let's give Aisha a round of applause for navigating us through this morning so with such dignity and grace and humour as well. Thank you. Well, it's a beautiful Bendigo day here on Jarrah country, and I'm really like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this beautiful land. And you look around it here today, it is a wonderful part of the state, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Now, Isha, you just did a beautiful job too of acknowledging all the guests who are here today. And today, whilst we are celebrating the opening of an important landmark building for Bendigo, I think your recognition just now of just about everyone here today demonstrates that we are bringing together a celebration of both community and leadership. And that leadership extends across the Federal Parliament with Lisa here, with Marie and I as local state members of Parliament, the Mayor and CEOs and former CEOs and Mayors who are here as well. But also too to have the representatives of the Bendigo Islamic community, the Bendigo Islamic Community Centre, Islamic representatives and Muslim community representatives from across Victoria, from across Australia that we welcome here to Bendigo today. And of course too to the Bendigo community representatives, the Believing Bendigo groups, the representatives, the Bendigo Interfaith Council. We all marked this day in our diary. We didn't know when it would come, but we all knew that we wanted to be here today, and it is a special day in the history of Bendigo. And as someone who's lived here in Bendigo my entire life and, as you know, represented this great community now for a number of years, today is one of Bendigo's finest days, and it is so good to be standing here, and it has been acknowledged, but it is worth remembering that this is a place that some said should never be built, a place that some said didn't belong in our community. It's important to remember too, it's hard to hear it on a day like today, but a place that they said would change Bendigo for the worse. A place that they said represented the kind of diversity here in Bendigo that we were not big enough for. Well, doesn't it feel good to have proven those views wrong? Because here it is, a multi-purpose centre, the Bendigo Islamic Community Centre. And it is amazing, and I am so pleased that that beautiful minaret has been constructed to be here as part of this opening, because it is amazing. And as we look around here, families, friends, neighbours, it is a proud day. People are happy, people celebrating. That is what we are recognising today, that this is a place for families. It is a place for young people, a place for community, and we've all marked the 30th of May in our diaries for that community celebration. It's also a place that will carry forward the tradition, stories and community for so many generations and opens its doors. And that's why today matters, because it is proof that when something is right, you stand up for it. You don't wait, you don't look away, you stand up, you stick with it, you fight for it. And that is what everyone here today did, joined by so many others. I and so many from across the broader Bendigo community did. And because of that work, hard work, many meetings in many people's lounge rooms and on Zoom, we're all standing here today. And as we've heard, this didn't happen overnight. It did take a number of years. And there were some of those moments that were hard, moments that tested people. They tested our community, and I think we all remembered that time well, because it did force a choice about what kind of community we wanted to be. Would we give in to fear and misunderstanding, or stand up for something simple? Something simple, that people should be free to practice their faith, to pray, to gather, to belong. It was an important principle then, it's the same principle today. And we've stood here together, because whilst there were some loud voices, they clearly did not speak for everyone. And as we saw, there were people who showed loud support, dressed in yellow, on that wonderful Bendigo Day, Grand Final Friday on 2015. But there are also so many others who showed quiet support, people who knew what was right and who stuck with it. And now we have this centre as part of the life of the city. And when people see that minaret rising above the skyline, they will know that it means something. a sign that people of Muslim faith belong here, a sign that faith has a place here, and a sign that it is a community that is confident to include everyone. We also say this at a time when it is worth remembering that the story, the Muslim story in this country and in Bendigo isn't new. It's been a part of Bendigo's story since the gold rush of the 1850s. And here, many, many decades later, we now have what every faith and every family deserves: opportunity and safety, the freedom to practice your faith, and that should never be controversial. But we know, that beautiful Bendigo does. Thank you. But we know that sometimes it still is. We still see it, we hear it, and that doesn't come out of nowhere. It grows when fear is encouraged and when suspicion is given its space. And that's why I wanted to take a moment today just to say again, and there are many leaders here from across Victoria who've heard me say this before, that as Victorian Premier, I am proud that we are the state that has the strongest anti-hate laws of any state in the nation. And we are working hard to make sure they work for communities and families, because everyone deserves to feel safe at home, on the streets and in their place of worship. And each of us has a responsibility to particularly confront anti-Muslim hate. And I've had the opportunity to talk to so many Muslim women who've particularly told me about their concerns simply for wearing a headscarf at a local shopping centre or in a street. And that is why I'm determined to not let silence allow it to grow, to continue to show that leadership and make sure that we are using the opportunities to use platforms like this to bring people together. Because that's the Victoria I know and believe in, that we are strongest when we stand together. That when people stand up and don't walk away and do what's right, we end up in places like today, celebrating the opening of the multi-purpose centre. So I want to finish by saying this really clearly, that my Labor government will always stand with Bendigo, Victoria and Australia's Muslim community. We'll also stand with families, with people wanting to build a life here, to come and be our dentists and doctors. We'll always back your kids with opportunity, and we will always stand against hatred, against bigotry and racism everywhere, every day, because that's our responsibility and that's who we are. And it requires leadership. You don't have to be a Member of Parliament to show this leadership, and we saw this here in Bendigo. Every single member of our community who stood up or who spoke quietly, that's leadership at every level, and I thank you all for doing that. So today is a celebration of faith, of community, of persistence, and of our great city of Bendigo, that when it was tested chose to be better. And I think that is something worth being proud of, certainly as Premier, but also too as a local Member of Parliament. I could not be prouder of today. So thank you to everyone who worked so hard. It's wonderful to join this celebration, and I finish by saying peace be upon you. Thank you.